Well, and as we close out the discussion here today, I'll observe that, a key theme through all of these discussions that happen through the task force in regions is the need for our state and federal government to support regional leadership, because it's ultimately local communities and regional leaders that actually know where the hotspots are, where the most vulnerable areas are, where the opportunities are. They know how to collaborate. And so, John, I'll say, probably no one is better positioned in state government than you to help support and help us navigate that, so we continue to find ways to get funding to regions, to local governments, to locally elected leaders to actually get this work done. Big thanks for all that you've done, and hopefully all that you will do to help us get where we need to go. We've come to the end of our day, and I'll share a couple of thoughts and then turn it to other committee members for any final closing thoughts that they have. One is that tomorrow we've got a remarkable set of tours, and I hope most of you are signed up for at least one tour. As we've done these regional meetings, I've learned that some of the best experiences are actually getting out there on the ground and seeing these models of what can happen. So please make sure if you haven't signed up for a tour and you're interested, that you find one of us afterwards, Patrick or his team, to be able to sign up for these tours. Second is there is an opportunity to continue to build your network and build your relationships. Right after this, I think we're transitioning to a reception, so please stick around for that. And then last point I'll make is just a thank you. As John said, it's really impressive to have several hundred people here today. Equally impressive to have several hundred people visiting or joining us virtually. This demonstrates that I think what we're talking about has relevance across the state. You all are getting the work done on the ground. Our goal is to be the wind in the sails, to get these projects, to make this paradigm shift across our communities. John put it well. This challenge, given accelerating climate change, is only going to get worse. And at the same time, we have more funding, more tools, more collaboration than we've ever had. And so from my perspective, it's really a race, but it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's how do we actually move as quickly as possible to protect our communities, protect our landscape, and at the same time, make that durable over time. I am fully optimistic that we will get to a point in California where we've gotten this catastrophic wildfire risk under control, and we're once again learning to live with fire. But that's an obligation, that's a responsibility that all of us have region by region. And so I'm just so thankful for the partnership that we have with all of you. I'll turn to Jen and then any other executive committee members that want to share thoughts.
Thanks. So thanks to all the panels. Again, as I said, I think I learned so much about the mosaic of the Central Coast, about the collaborative opportunities, about the regulatory issues, certainly some funding that we have. But in the end, I think it was Lisa who said, there's not only one way to do this. And that's what came out today as well. There's multiple ways to get to the same end, and as Wade and all of us have said, you got to go with where you're at, meet people where they are, and give them all a little push, so we can keep moving on this too. A reminder that, as we've said today, mental model changes, paradigm changes, you are changing culture, and that's what needs to happen. And so thank you, all of you, for being here, because we are part of a cultural change that has to continue and happen for us and all the next generations beyond us. So thank you.
Sam.
Well, it's very hard to add to those last two comments, Jennifer and Wade. From my perspective, I know you've seen me go out and in, but I've been listening and hearing a lot of the feedback, as well as incredible resources that this state has, as I mentioned earlier, for all of us to connect the dots. Within my own office, Senator Laird was part responsible as well. Some of the work that we do, there's incredible amounts that I'm taking away here, and also making connections around regional thinking, around equity, around, it takes a village to address this issue. One thing I'll add, and the Senator said it as well, in my own experience, I don't think there's ever a better time and the short window that we have to make a transformative change around how we could live with fire. Why? Because the political structure is aligned. There's never been, and there will never be in our lifetime, the amount of funding from the federal government and for the state government in front of us. And then finally, I started saying, I come with a land use bias. What I know is in any history that you look at, any major transformation in cities around the world, or states or regions, the greatest transformations have always come out of disaster, whether it's fire, pandemic, war. And I believe we're in those moments here. And if we squander the next 5 to 10 years that we have to be the next kind of major transformation for California, then we have failed. But I have incredible hope, not only the people that I've heard from here, but incredible amount of thinking by most of the young people who need to be engaged here as well. And during lunchtime, I had a couple of conversations with them as well, and who are really thinking in this space. So I come out of here incredibly enriched and hopeful as well. But I think the future is in our hands in terms of being able to live in harmony with fire. So thank you, everybody, for that input. And I walk back with incredible information and hope.
Thank you. Secretary Garcia.
There we go. Thanks all for all the work that you've been carrying. It's been a wonderful day, and similar to Director Acefa, I feel that I'm leaving here enriched and full of hope. There was a national press narrative brewing for which I was interviewed recently about California defeatism, and that you have to be defeatist to be out here. It's either floods or wildfires or something happening that's catastrophic, and how does it feel to be in this sort of defeatist culture? And I struggled with the question at the time, and being here, I realized why. It's because we're not defeatist. We are full of hope and energy and promise, because we have to be, and because our generations to come are really relying on that from us. So I just want to take a moment and thank all of you for being a part of that hope in us, all of us moving forward. And also want to really emphasize the fact that not that we need more than wildfire and forest resilience for this to be applicable to, but to the point that so many of my colleagues have made up here, these models that you all are developing are instructive in so many other contexts, and that culture shift and paradigm shift that you're creating is so helpful in so many other spaces. And so I just want to remind us all of that and let you know that, at least in the work that I do on a day-to-day basis, I'm certainly taking with me some of the work that you all are doing on the ground as a model for what we're looking for. And just also taking away the impression of the myriad of benefits associated with all of your efforts. I am a former CEQA practitioner myself, have been a very staunch CEQA advocate, and certainly understand that we're at a very special place with CEQA right now, in so many different areas, really thinking about how we can leverage the good work that we've done through not just the use of this statute, but through other efforts to develop mitigation measures and best practices, and to think about how we're really building the environmentally sound projects and efforts that we want to see. And so really want to be able to support us in streamlining those efforts to the extent we are able to, even more so than what we're doing already, to cut the time that we're putting forward currently, from a year to 6 months as we can. I'm very much committed to that. I look forward to working with you all more in all of the touch points that have to do with the Air Resources Board as well. I'm looking forward to talking more about how we look at woody feedstocks and other ways that we can think about the other issues associated with our efforts, including building regional economies of scale and job creation. Really excited about all of that moving forward, and really looking forward to continuing to see the good work you all are doing to regenerate our landscapes in a way that honors the indigenous and traditional ecological knowledge that we've heard so much about and that we've been able to integrate into these efforts. So thanks again for having me. Good first meeting.
Thank you, Secretary. And I think we're going to leave it there. I'll lastly say that if you're already engaged in the task force and all of its working groups toward these actions we're holding ourselves accountable for achieving, thank you. And if you're not yet engaged, please engage. WildfireTaskForce.org is your one-stop shop for information. Sign up for the listserv, goes out monthly. We're really doing this together across the state, and there's room for everyone's leadership here. With that said, Patrick, team, thanks for another excellent meeting. Greatly appreciate all you do, Forrest, Kristen, and others that actually make these discussions happen. And we'll see you outside at the reception. Take care.